part of who we are as humans, right? We label each other. When I thought of this activity, the first thing I thought of is what color would I have been if I was in school? And it depends on what school I was at. It was either going to be a yellow, because I was treated that way, or I would have been a pink and just kind of hid in the background. Everybody said I was nice, but I wasn't really paid attention to. How many are middle children? Are we all pinks? Right. So I'm going to read to you guys a story. I just want you to listen for a little bit. Once upon a time, a beautiful little girl was born. Her smile was bright as she could not walk. She was born with her feet turned diagonally, and she was in braces for the first 2 years of her life. She is the middle child, the one who is sometimes forgotten but always loved. She moved 3 times before the age of 5, and 2 more times before the age of 13. Nobody had the time to know her. Walking to kindergarten was always a struggle for her. Hundreds of grasshoppers jumping on her tiny white saddle shoes as a little girl ran hurriedly through the doors of Meadows School, panting. This little girl would run through the door, find her seat, and quietly anticipate the scary walk home. Her teacher never asked why she ran to school every day. The teacher did not take the time to know her. This little girl moved 2 more times, entered new schools, and in the middle of 7th grade year, finally settled in Lancaster. She was on an emotional roller coaster. She went from a tiny 1-building parochial school in a very southern town to a multi-million-dollar school system with lockers and hundreds of students. She went from wearing Converse sneakers and knee socks to fancy shoes and nylons. She went from being number 1 in her tiny class of 20 to a student that had to be pulled out of class for remedial reading. She was out of place. She was just a number, not a person. Her father had been unemployed for over 6 months. Moving was their only option. The family had to go where employment was found. They had little money. She was given peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, a little Debbie fudge round with a quarter for milk every day for lunch, packed in a brown paper sack. The students at her new school always bought their lunch. She couldn't afford that luxury. Instead of being embarrassed with her daily poor lunch sack, she hid the goods in her locker. At the end of the year, over 90 rotting peanut butter and jelly sandwiches were quickly filling the locker area with a horrible stench. She was asked to remove the trash in front of a multitude of students and was given the Dirty Housekeeping Award at the end of the year celebration in front of hundreds of students that made up her team. Her teachers never asked why she hid her lunches or what they could do to help her. Nobody took the time to know her. When she entered high school, she was lost. She was a shadow living in the ever-present presence of her older sister, the cheerleader, the singer, and popular student who never struggled with grades. She turned to drugs and alcohol in order to fit in. She barely passed her classes. She gained weight. She skipped classes, smoked marijuana under the bleachers in the middle of the school gymnasium as a study hall moderator snored the hour away. She snuck flasks filled with amaretto, vodka, or rum into her purse and drank her pain away throughout the school days. She was lost. She was searching for herself. Her teachers passed her, never asking her questions, never offering help, and never making the time to discover who she was or how to help her succeed. She graduated from high school with barely a C average, an SAT score of 620, and enough friends to count on one hand. Nobody took the time to know her. College was no better. This young woman was raped within her first weeks of being a college freshman. She was told she was beautiful and she believed him. She screamed as the sound of Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody muffled her pleas for help. She was broken. She was away from home and she was lost. She skipped classes, drank fifths of Jack Daniels, and engulfed downers and amphetamines to mask her pain. She lost close to 50 pounds within a 2-month time period. She was found passed out on the streets of Erie, was flown home to be put through tests, all of which came up negative. She talked to psychologists but never told her story. She was sent back to that place where her innocence was robbed and ended up with a 0.8 GPA. Her professors never asked her what was wrong. Nobody took the time to know her. Years passed, and this young woman grew up to get married and have 3 children. She even became Mrs. Pennsylvania in 1997. But she was still searching for her true calling. She had always wanted to be a teacher, but going back to college at the age of 30-something was going to be a challenge. She was studying 18 credits a semester, attending every sporting event her children participated in, cooked nightly meals, tucked her children safely in bed each night, babysat neighborhood children every day, and was chasing her dream. She was overwhelmed, yet filled with hope. Most of her professors considered her just another student that was placed on academic probation and had to prove her worth in order to continue in her journey. In a school of 10,000, she no longer felt lost. She started to create connections with a few of her professors, and she realized that becoming a teacher was no longer just a dream. It was becoming a reality. In 2001, this young woman, scarred, broken, hopeful, and proud, walked across the stage to receive her Bachelor of Science degree in English. Her children and husband proudly cheering, shouting her name across the crowded gymnasium. She was ready to be the teacher that she never had. That's not just any story. That's mine. And how many of you have kids sitting in your room that are probably going through the exact same thing I did, and you just haven't taken that time to know them? I did. When I first got out of, when I first became an educator, I was a teacher at Columbia Junior Senior High School. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. If I swear, I taught at Catholic school. I'm supposedly Catholic, but I have a potty mouth that doesn't make it sound like that, so I apologize. But I walked into Columbia Junior Senior High School on that first day, and I was so excited. I made my room look like the best room in the entire school. I knew I was going to make a difference and walk these kids. It was great for the first couple of weeks. Then I had a kid come up to me, whisper in my ear, and say, "I want to put a fucking hole in your head." Scared the shit out of me. I didn't know what I was going to do. So I walked down to the principal, who I call a little mouse turd, and I looked at her, and you'll see why in a second, and I said, "This young man just threatened my life." And she said, "Well, let's get him in here and let's talk about it. And if he really said this, then you'll have him arrested." That was not what I wanted to do. The last thing I wanted to do was put David behind bars. He needed help. She didn't offer him that help. She looked at me and said I was a liar because I was not pressing charges. A couple of weeks later, a beautiful young woman who I always got along with, her name is Jade, got into my class. Something must have been going on, but I didn't find out what it was. She looked at me and called me a fucking bitch. Told her to sit down. "Miss S, you're a fucking bitch." 8 more times to my face, she said those words. Called the principal, "Can you please come up and remove her?" And they did. She was home, 10 days out of school suspension. She came back in my class, and that is the day I looked at the principal and said, "I no longer have authority in this room. You put somebody in here who disrespected me, and you're expecting me to just go on like nothing happened." And that's the day I left. But I left as a failure. I didn't take the time to know my students. Honestly, I left as a failure, a total failure. I also had a kid in the same school, his name is Daryl, who came in every single day, sat in the same seat, and fell out of the same seat. He came drunk or stoned every single day. I'd pick up the phone, call the nurse, she'd come up and get him, do an eye test, send him back. Nobody cared about these kids, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was a brand new teacher. I had no idea. So I got to my new school. You know how you kind of look and you just like, give me a sign, tell me this is why I'm here. My very first day as a teacher at the new school, the teacher died the night before. I had no idea. I wasn't on a phone list. Nobody called to tell me, so I go into school 6 o'clock in the morning, getting ready, open my door, sitting in there, nobody's coming in. No teachers, nothing. All of a sudden, my daughter, who was having soccer practice, comes running up the steps saying, "Mom, Miss S was killed last night." This woman was a powerful teacher. She was my oldest daughter's best friend's mother. I knew I was in the right place. I knew I could be there to help these kids get through what was a horrible time for them. But I didn't know how. And then all of a sudden it hit me. I just have to listen. So I listened as they came into my classroom. My name is Schober, so I want them to call me Miss S. That was her name. So I had to switch everything. I could no longer be called Miss S because I would never take that away from her. I had to be me. I had to be Mrs. Schober. And they came in and they just listened and talked and cried, and all they did was listen. I just listened. And I know it's hard for you guys. I know that because you have PSSA and you have all these standards that you have to meet. But you've got to get back to just listening. If you just had those, if I just had that one teacher that listened to me, maybe I wouldn't have turned to drugs, or maybe I would because it was kind of fun, but maybe I wouldn't have. You know, maybe there would have been that one teacher that said, Ann, you don't need to turn to that. But I did because nobody cared. Nobody took the time to know me. How many of you have a student that nobody knows or can't get through to them? And I'm sure you do. So I want you to think of my story today as we start reflecting on who you guys have in your class. But before I go on, do you guys have questions about my story?